everybody, this is Greg with Fabric Bash. Your machine stopped working or you are worrying about maintenance and that kind of thing. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks to avoid you needing to bring it in as much or having any problems. So tip number one, your machine was working great, you changed thread or you're coming back to it and it's not working. Either you're having looping, tension problems on the bottom or top, or just some shredding. Immediate step number one is to unthread the machine and rethread it. I know it seems pretty simple, but a lot of times that thread path, your thread can get caught on stuff. It can't get in your tension discs. Right here, I'm showing the Baby Lock Meridian 2, but it's going to be similar on pretty much every sewing machine. So the first time you go down with your thread, it's going into tension discs. So we need to make sure that we get it in those tension discs well. Make sure your presser foot is up when you do it, or else those tension discs are going to be closed, so it's going to be hard to get it in there. So have your presser foot up, make sure it gets in those tension discs, then go down, up, and this is the next most important step, make sure it gets in that take-up lever. If it doesn't get in your take-up lever, you're going to have a lot of nesting down below. And that, your immediate thought might be to bring it in because of that, but try rethreading it, and a lot of times that gets rid of your problem of thread nesting. I would say probably 90% of thread nesting underneath is because of missing the take-up lever. Rethreading didn't work. It didn't help you. So step number two, or tip number two, I should say, is going to be change your needle. We recommend changing your needle every 8 hours of sewing, or whenever you start having problems. That needle is where all the magic happens with the stitch, and if you have a bent needle, you might start skipping stitches. Your needle can eventually get a burr in it from your thread running through it, so you can get shredding thread. It's the cheapest part of the machine. It's where all the magic happens, so just replace it if you start having problems. Step number three. This is more of a maintenance step and not necessarily it just started going wrong. It's definitely something to check though if your thread or rethreading the machine didn't work and replacing the needle didn't work. So on this machine, we're gonna clean the bobbin area. Or on every machine, we should be cleaning the bobbin area. Your machine will come with a brush to wipe out that area. On the Baby Locks, a lot of them, there's just this cover to take off. You take your spool of thread out, and then you take this bobbin case out. On a lot of machines, you'll have to unscrew your needle plate. Luckily, I don't have to, so it's pretty easy, and I should be making sure I brush out this area pretty often. Probably every project, once you're done with a quilt top or anything like that. Take a brush, make sure you sweep out. Don't pack it in, because if you're just packing it in, you're going to be pushing all that lint and thread down into the machine. Right, so make sure you brush out and avoid using canned air, because it'll just spray it all into the machine, which will eventually just pack it in and cause bigger problems. A good sign that you have to clean out your bobbin area is that you have your bobbin case actually move in your hook area. It can jump because there's so much packed lint down there. Tip number four, if you're having problems with your thread pulling down to the bottom, you're having a lot of looping on the bottom of your project, what that is you're not getting a lot of top tension. So your bobbin's either way too tight, or a lot of times your top is too loose. Especially if you're using cotton thread, there is a lot of lint with that. So what can happen is in your tension discs, where we're making sure we're getting our thread in, even if you get your thread in there and it's been a while since it's been cleaned or anything like that, you get a lot of lint packed in there. And just a little bit of lint or a stray strand of thread in those tension discs will make it so that your top tension is going to be a little loose. It's not going to grab on as tight as it needs to, and you're going to get looping on the bottom of your project. So take a brush or a pipe cleaner or anything like that, make sure it's something soft, and put it in here. So if you're having looping on the bottom, cleaning out your tension discs, Make sure you grab a brush, the same brush that your machine comes with that you're using to clean out the bobbin area, or I'm using a little pipe cleaner. Just make sure it's something soft. Don't try and use a pin or scissors or anything like that, because you're going to cause a burr on your tension discs, and that will cause your thread to shred quite a bit. So take your soft brush or pipe cleaner, get it in there, just move it back and forth, and that should help your tension quite a bit. If you're having to tighten your bobbin up quite a bit, or loosen your bobbin up quite a bit, that will be a problem. That can be a problem that you have, is that your tension discs are getting packed with lint. So you shouldn't have to loosen your bobbin that much. Tip number 5 is check that your bobbin has a good wind and that your thread is coming off the spool correctly. A lot of times when you get down to the bottom, to the end of a spool, what can happen is it gets caught on the edges or caught on your bobbin holder, or your spool holder actually, causing problems with your top tension being irregular. It will be loose and then get tight all of a sudden because that thread is not coming off of the spool properly. As well as if your bobbin has a bad wind or anything like that, you got the thread stuck underneath the thread that's wound on top of it, what can happen is your bobbin gets really tight, or it wants to hop out of that bobbin case. So if you're getting like 5 stitches, 10 stitches in a row that look good, but then a couple that are bad, that is probably going to be your problem, is that your top thread is not coming off, your bobbin thread is not coming off the spool properly. So the way to test that would be try a different thread on a different piece of fabric if you need to. Try different top thread, try different bobbin thread, see if that fixes your problem. And that kind of goes along the way of rethreading. What I would do is try the same thread, unthread your machine, rethread it, and then if that doesn't work, go through replacing the needle, that kind of thing, and then try a different spool of thread and a different bobbin. Just as much as you can do to potentially get you through the project, and then after the project, bring it in for a cleaning and service. I know that we recommend cleaning every year, 2 years depending on use, but if you're getting up on a year and it's getting dirty, or you're having problems, I want to try and get you through the project. I don't want you to sit on the wait time that we're having. We're currently at 4 weeks, so just want to try and get you to fix your machine on your own potentially. A lot of simple problems that don't necessarily need to have it brought in for. So hopefully those 5 tips helped. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe, check us out on our webpage, fabricbash.com, and thank you very much for tuning in.